Hello students, today we'll be covering one topic of GS 1. Recently, the Prime Minister of India has paid tributes to Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee on his Punyatithi. So here we'll be covering some aspects of Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. So the topics which will be covered in this particular video is his role in pre-independence, his role in post-independence, then his legacy, and one scheme which is associated to his name, that is Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Rurban Mission. This topic is from GS1, personalities in news from modern history. It will help you in mains answer writing and also in prelims. So first of all, we'll talk about his role in pre-independence. He started his political career in 1929 when he entered the Bengal Legislative Council as an Indian National Congress INC candidate representing Calcutta University. At the age of 33, he became the youngest Vice Chancellor of Calcutta University in 1934. During his term as Vice Chancellor, Rabindranath Tagore delivered the university convocation address in Bengali for the first time, and the Indian vernacular was introduced as a subject for the highest examination. So this point is important from prelims point of view, because when he was serving as the vice chancellor of that university, that is Calcutta University, Rabindranath Tagore had delivered the university convocation address in Bengali for the first time, and then the Indian vernaculars, that is the Bengali language, was introduced as a subject for the highest examination. So this point is very unique and it may be asked in prelims examination. Then in 1937, he was elected as an independent candidate in the elections which brought the Krishak Praja Party All India Muslim League coalition to power. So here the elections, 1937 elections, were held as per the Government of India Act 1935. He was elected as an independent candidate. Then he joined the Hindu Mahasabha in Bengal in 1939 and became its acting president. Now, Hindu Mahasabha was founded in 1915. Then he became the finance minister of the province of Bengal and was subsequently elected the national president of Hindu Mahasabha, the Mahabodhi Society, and the Royal Asiatic Society. Now you need to remember just three names. He was associated with Hindu Mahasabha, he was also associated with Mahabodhi Society and the Royal Asiatic Society. Then when the Constituent Assembly was formed in 1946, he was also a member of the Constituent Assembly. Then coming to Quit India movement, he opposed the Quit India movement. He did not support. You need to remember here, he did not support the Quit India movement. Now after the Hindu Mahasabha and the RSS, now RSS was formed in 1925. Hindu Mahasabha was formed in 1915. Both were Hindutva organizations. Okay. Now Hindu Mahasabha was formed in 1915 by Madan Mohan Malviya. Okay. As Gandhiji wanted the British government to transfer its entire power to Muslim League. There was a time when Gandhiji wanted the British government to transfer its entire power to Muslim League because there was a lot of communal riots going on. Pakistan, there was a demand for a separate Pakistan. Gandhiji did not wanted to divide the country on the basis of religion. So in order to stop all this communalism, he wanted the British government to transfer its entire power to Muslim League. So that was the reason why the Quit India movement, Hindu Mahasabha and RSS did not participate. Then he demanded, at that point of time, he demanded partition of Bengal in 1946 to prevent inclusion of its Hindu majority areas in a Muslim dominated East Pakistan. So at that point of time, he also demanded a separate, partition of Bengal in 1946. There was already partition of Bengal happened in 1905. But in 1946 also he demanded again the partition of Bengal to prevent the inclusion of its Hindu majority areas in the Muslim dominated East Pakistan. Then in 1947, he even wrote a letter to Lord Mountbatten telling him that Bengal must be partitioned even if India was not. So this was a very, it was a very extreme sentence at that point of time. If, like he told, if India is not divided, but Bengal must be partitioned. He was also a member of the Constituent Assembly as discussed earlier. So this was his role in pre-independence. Now coming to his role in post-independence. In post-independence, he was a minister of the interim government. During 1946 to 1947, the interim government was formed and he was the Minister of Industry and Supplies. Then after the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, he began to have differences with Hindu Mahasabha and eventually he left the party, that is Hindu Mahasabha. Then he was also in the Jawaharlal Nehru's cabinet. Then again he resigned from the Nehru's cabinet in 1950 over a disagreement over the 1950 Delhi Pact. Now, 1950 Delhi Pact is nothing but the Liaquat-Nehru Pact. Now, what is this pact? We'll cover here itself. It was a bilateral treaty between India and Pakistan where refugees were allowed to return to dispose of their property, abducted women and looted property were to be returned, forced conversions were unrecognized, and minority rights were confirmed. So, after independence, the refugees were allowed to return. This was this pact which made all these provisions. Now, all the looted property were to be returned, abducted women were to be returned, forced conversions were to be unrecognized, and minority rights should be recognized. So, in both countries, minority commissions were set up. More than 1 million refugees migrated from East Pakistan to Bengal. Now, this particular pact was not supported by him. It was not supported because he thought that the Hindus will not get their rights in Muslim dominated Pakistan. That is why he did not support the pact, that is Liaquat-Nehru Pact, and that was the reason why he resigned from the Nehru's cabinet. Then he founded the Bharatiya Janasangh. From here only BJP came later. So he founded the Bharatiya Janasangh in 1951 at Delhi, becoming its first president. Then he strongly opposed the Article 370, seeing it as a threat to national unity. Already Article 370 is abrogated, so at that point of time in the early 1950s, he had strongly opposed it. He went to J&K without permit in 1953. Then he was arrested from Lakhanpur and was taken to Srinagar through the Chenani Nasri tunnel. Now, Chenani Nasri tunnel is a very famous tunnel. It is also known as the Patni Top tunnel. It links Kashmir Valley with Jammu. Now, when you cover this, you need to also know from physical geography aspect, you need to know the mapping. So, it is located in lower Himalayas. It is the longest road tunnel, 9 km, built at an elevation of 1200 meters. Recently, it was named as Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Tunnel. It falls in NH 44. Now, there is also a scheme. There is also a scheme on his name, that is Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Rurban Mission. So, it's a centrally sponsored scheme. It's not a central sector scheme. It's not a central sector scheme. In central sector scheme, 100% funding plus implementation of the scheme is done by center. But in central sponsored scheme, the funding is shared. The funding is shared. It can be a 50-50, it can be 60-40, it can be 90-10, it can be 80-20, depending on the government. It's shared between the center and the states, and the implementation is done by state government in a centrally sponsored scheme. So in 2016 it was formed. It is under the Ministry of Rural Development. Now the main focus of the scheme is to deliver integrated project based infrastructure in rural areas, not in urban areas. That's why it is a Rurban mission, which will also include development of economic activities and skill development. So basically it is a development project or a development scheme in rural areas, which will focus on inclusive economic activities and skill development. Predecessor to this scheme, like before this scheme, there was a I'll not say it as a scheme, it was a project, that is pura, that is provision of urban amenities to rural areas. It was in 2007. So it was a project. So this project was converted to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Rurban mission. Now what do you mean by Rurban? Rurban means it's a cluster of 15 to 20 villages having 30 to 40 lakh population. Minimum 30 to 40 lakh population. The cluster will be geographically contiguous gram panchayats with population of about 25 to 50,000 in plain and coastal areas, 5,000 to 15,000 in desert, hilly or tribal areas. So these data you need to remember. So here the state government will identify. Why? Because it is a centrally sponsored scheme, and in central sponsored scheme the implementation will be done by state government. So here the state government, it's not the central government, it's not center, it's state government which will identify the clusters in accordance with the framework for implementation prepared by central government, that is Ministry of Rural Development. So the implementation framework, this is the key word, it will be formed by central, that is Ministry of Rural Development. But who will identify the clusters according to the framework? It is the state government. So that's it. We'll be very soon starting our mains program, that is a mains mentorship plan, where I'll be covering GS 1, 2, 3 and 4 answer writing practice. So what I'll be doing is I'll be giving topics for 4 days which you need to prepare, and in the 5th day there will be questions on those topics which you have covered in 4 days, and then the evaluation will be done. Content enrichment will be done, like what extra to add to enrich your answer, and how to write in word limit, strict word limit. Evaluation same day, and some ingredient, we call it as content. And I'll be also be giving you some extra topics to cover, which, because we can't cover everything in the answer writing, so I'll be giving some extra topics to cover. Okay, that's it. Thank you.